Welcome everyone to this episode of Palmetto Guardian. Today we talk about things that happen during the fall and winter season, as well as the SMP. Welcome everyone, I'm Sergeant Chelsea Baker.
And I'm Specialist David Erskine. And we are coming out of the backside of Veterans Day weekend.
Yeah.
Hope everybody had a very happy, eventful Veterans Day. Made it down to the parades local to wherever you were, or at least the Columbia one. But we're getting churning. We're pumping right through the year. November, I go on vacation very soon.
Yeah, just keep rubbing it in my face.
I do. Bounce that, hit Thanksgiving, straight into Christmas, it'll seem like.
Yeah, and then the New Year's.
Christmas is always longer for me, especially having youngins, because they get Christmas break. So really, Christmas time starts for me, right around the middle of the month, because you get to play. Well, it'll be easier this year because my wife doesn't work as much.
Yeah.
She's getting lazy in her old age.
I hope she listens to this, and I'm going to be a fly on the wall whenever she listens to this episode.
Nah, she still works relatively hard. Christmas, and then boom, New Year.
I know, and then we start all over.
Of course, for a lot of people, they're college students, they're getting geared up for final exams.
Yes.
Coming up here, real stressful time of the year for that to happen. And then, of course, as soon as they get done with final exams, they're getting ready to roll into getting ready for spring semester, right? It's been so long, that's spring semester, right? So. Yeah, because fall semester's in the fall, that would make sense. I don't know why they don't call that winter semester, because it starts in June.
Yeah.
Can we get somebody to chime in on this? Why is that actually spring semester? Because I
guess. I mean, anybody listening out there that knows the history behind the reasoning of spring semester?
I don't even know if Google has that information.
I don't know.
But, obviously a lot of stuff going on through this time of the year.
Also, we just had daylight savings, which I'm still trying to adjust to.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How you adjusting?
Well, your sleep gets all out of whack, and then your sleep, you get back on your sleep schedule, but then you have to get used to it getting dark earlier. So in the morning when I'm driving to work, normally it's dark out, but now it's light, and then when you're coming home from work, by the time you get home, it's dark out, and normally it's not that way, so.
I don't know.
I feel like, because you
I don't sleep normally anyway.
Well, yeah, because you're just weird, so.
Thank you. It does mess with a lot of people. Funny thing about that, my wife worked daylight savings.
Oh, so she had an extra hour?
Yeah, so she worked a 13-hour shift.
That sucks. Did she get paid extra for it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, that's good.
If not, me and her have a long conversation about it.
I never thought about that until I was hanging out with some of the guys from the Jeep Club, and they were talking about daylight savings, and they mentioned somebody on night shift, and I was like, oh, I never thought about that. That sucks.
Yeah, I've been on that shift before. You're like, 6 more hours.
Oh wait,
boom,
no,
7 more hours.
And you didn't bring enough snacks or energy drinks to keep you awake.
You just want to go home. I have been places, this is a long time ago though, where they didn't pay you.
Really?
On that, they were like, it's still in your shift. I was like, I don't care if shift's an extra hour long. And I didn't win that battle. I was much younger.
Oh, you weren't as wise as you are now?
I'm not wise now, I just wasn't as mean.
Oh.
But anyway, fall, this time of year, just jam-packed, people are running non-stop. Of course, some safety concerns, obviously, around this time of year, going into the holiday season. Keep in mind, people are traveling, there's parties, there's libations. Really, this part of the holiday season it's gotten to the point where it really kicks off with Halloween.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of runs. Kind of non-stop. And, like we said before, youngins coming around, grandma, grandpa, they got all kinds of stuff going on. So plenty of stuff. And it's hectic for everybody in general, but like we were saying, college students and stuff like that, they're on top of all of that they're having to do. They're also dealing with, you know, final exam time frames and things of that nature, which is actually one of our guest speakers, Do we ever actually call them guest speakers? One of our guests.
Oh, I mean, I think we said
Okay.
it both ways.
Okay, one of our guests, actually will be on the podcast today, works at one of the colleges here in South Carolina area, and actually gonna talk to us a little bit about the SMP program, and y'all get to learn all about that. That's a pretty good deal if you're in college and stuff, and of course, like I said, he'll go over all that and kind of break it down in the nitty gritty. I know about that much.
I know nothing, so.
I know about that much. For people at home, I'm making a very small gesture with my hand, about that much, about it, but what I little bit I do know about it, I know it's a fairly beneficial plan. But outside of that, I mean, I guess the next big hurdle we got is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
You got plans?
I don't know, cause like, my family's not down here. Like my dad is and my mom, but they're set like.
So
they're
no
divorced.
family. Yeah, I completely understand.
Oh my gosh, whatever. But this literally, ladies and gentlemen, men. I can't even talk now.
Good job.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Good job. Wait, hold on. I got a book.
Nope, I think it's
No.
yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
See, I remember the colors and you haven't.
It's like a Simon Says over here, and I was never really good at that game. But anyway, you have no family, but your mom and dad's down here. Carry on.
So, I don't know. One year I went over to a coworker that I used to work with. She was like my second mom. I don't really remember if I think me and my mom stayed at home by ourselves last year, and we had like spaghetti or something.
Nice.
So, but I do want some Thanksgiving, like traditional Thanksgiving food, because it's typically the one time a year that you have all of that at one time. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. We still got a couple weeks to figure it out.
Yeah.
What I'm assuming that, do you go over to your mother's and you guys put some pizzas in the oven thing?
I haven't been home for Thanksgiving since I was 6 years old.
You go out to the woods. Never mind, my bad, I forgot.
And we have a very traditional Thanksgiving dinner while we're out there.
Cooking over a fire.
Yeah.
You make a turkey?
Possum fat and hog jows.
Do you like hunt them or you take that with you?
Yeah, we just buy them at the store.
What did you say?
I said possum fat, hog jows.
You can buy that from the store?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh.
But you were going with it, so I was going to take you there.
Well, I never.
I was going to give you a full recipe for it and everything.
I bet you were.
Yeah, it was going to be no problem, I promise you. No, we actually do, even though we're out in the woods, we do fairly traditional Thanksgiving. We do turkey, some collards, a little bit of fat back to snack on through the day, some hoe cakes.
What are hoe cakes?
Oh my God. I'm telling you what, the youth of today.
I mean, I didn't, well.
Hoe cakes are little fried pieces of cornbread, look like a pancake.
Oh, okay.
Do them in the thing. They're good. Put a little butter on them, rock
Gotcha.
and roll. And then
Sound good.
we'll do maybe some mashed potatoes or something like that, and then we have banana pudding for dessert. It's good.
You know what my favorite food is for the Thanksgiving dinner?
Sweet potato casserole.
No, but I mean that is pretty good.
Okay.
My favorite is green bean casserole.
I was close. I had a casserole in there.
Oh, I love green bean casserole.
Yeah, that's pretty tasty.
Yeah.
I haven't had any in a while.
Well, obviously, because I'm sure that it's a little challenging cooking. Do you literally cook over a fire, or do you have like a grill or something?
No, we come SWAT team style when we go.
You
out
bring
there.
like the burners and everything.
We have a griddle. We have 2 propane stoves.
Jeez.
We have
No wonder why you have a big truck.
2 Dutch ovens that we do biscuits and brownies, and we'll do some hash brown breakfast in the mornings and
I
things.
think I need to do a recon of this this vacation. I'm gonna take a day off and I'm gonna like vlog it
Yeah.
for everybody to see.
No, we camp in style. I mean, we have.
Do you glamp?
I wouldn't.
Or is it like a manly camping?
Yeah, it's a manly. It's not like glamping. I mean, now we do bring a tent that works as our kitchen, old military tent, just the top of it, and we set that up, and the campsite that we use has a picnic table at it and whatever else, and so we set up the 2 stoves. I do all the cooking for the 2 weeks that we're down there most of the time. The only thing I don't cook is I really don't cook Thanksgiving dinner, and then one of my cousins will do fajita night.
Ooh, that sounds good.
he brings fajita meat down, and he messes up a heaping helping of fajitas that we eat for hours on end. But outside of that, I do most of the cooking. But yeah, I mean, we're not uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you know. And we bring our coolers, and we got stuff on ice and whatever else. And yeah, it's a nice easy. It's so awesome. I want to go now.
Now you're not allowed.
Can we cut this podcast short? And I'll go ahead and jump in the truck. We'll do it from down there.
Yeah, see, I can bring
No,
the podcast.
that's a terrible idea.
No. You brought it up, so we'll shoot a podcast there while you're on
I'm gonna say
vacation.
that's terrible.
No, I think
Almost,
it's a good idea.
almost nay impossible idea.
Okay.
So.
Anyways, now that we've gone off track.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's it. Everybody has something for the holidays, and that's what
Yeah.
it's about. It's about having something for the holidays. And you know, kind of back to the college students. Hopefully, you know, they get home and have their time with their family, whether it's camping or spaghetti on the couch, or I'm just saying camping sounds way cooler. But anyway,
Oh, yeah, thanks.
you can come down there, but you can't come on the island. I'll wave at you from above.
Oh, okay.
Be like, this is where we at. Don't come to camp. So anyway, well, with that being said, let's jump over to our guest today and have him educate us about the SMP program that might be beneficial to some folks out there. Okay, today we have Mr. Simon Strickland, the ROTC enrollment officer up at Wofford College, and also a lieutenant colonel with the 1st Battalion, 218th Regiment out in the RTI. Commander out there, correct? Yes,
correct.
Correct.
New commander.
And new commander. And so he is taking time out of his day to stop by and talk with us about some of the stuff he does during the week up at Wofford and some things that are available to Guard soldiers. So thank you, sir, for stopping by.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And basically what I wanted to do is just kind of share the multitude of benefits that are available to soldiers that are seeking higher education, and then tie that in a little bit to what I do in the week, which is recruit for the Army ROTC program at Wofford. We also have a large proponent of our cadets are actually at our partnership institution, University of South Carolina, upstate, and also Converse College. So it's not just Wofford, it's all three of those institutions that we serve.
Now, when you're talking about serving those three institutions in the ROTC program, where do you actually fall in, I guess, that process of all that?
Absolutely.
Because that sounds like a bunch.
It is.
Okay, all right. I
is.
just didn't want to make sure I was kind of overthinking it there, but that kind of seems like a lot just going at it real quick.
No, so ROTC is available at 274 host institutions across the country. Wofford is one of those. And then ROTC is also available to students at 1,100 or so partnership institutions. We call them crosstown or extension centers. The name doesn't matter. It just means you can take ROTC at those colleges. So, for example, right here in Columbia, the University of South Carolina not only serves USC, but also every other college here in town, and then also any college to the east of that except for the Citadel. So they even serve Myrtle Beach, Coastal Carolina out there.
Okay, wow.
So
That's a big spread.
Throughout South Carolina, if you are in a four-year institution, you can pretty much take Army ROTC.
Gotcha. Now, this is kind of a unique job. I honestly, I never knew it existed until you walked in here today. How does one find their way to this?
So usually we start the process in high school. Okay, so I will hear from juniors and seniors primarily, but sometimes earlier than that. And generally speaking, while they're in high school, they're looking at two different paths: either joining the Guard and using all of the benefits that we're going to talk about within the Guard to pay for their college, or they apply for the 4-year Army ROTC scholarship. So if you Google 4-year Army ROTC scholarship, the first link will say, start here. And you'll go through that whole process, and once you get far enough along, it'll say you can contact one of these schools based on your preference, based on your geographical location, to find your way to do one of the requirements inside the application is to do an interview. usually with the professor of military science, which would be my boss at Wofford, or with one of my counterparts. So there is one of me, a recruiting operations officer or enrollment officer or scholarship officer or something like that at all of the major institutions host programs in the state. That would include Wofford, of course, Furman, Presbyterian College, University of South Carolina, Clemson, the Citadel. I think that's it.
Okay.
If I miss one, South Carolina State is a host institutions too.
Okay.
So you can find one of us through that process, and we're there to answer questions, to look at the application for errors or omissions sometimes, and then do school specific information. For example, at least 3 of the institutions I mentioned, at Wofford College, at Furman, and at Presbyterian College, the host institution actually matches the scholarship with room and board. So that's where you get the golden grail of full ride.
Full ride.
Full ride.
You've hit full ride at that point.
Correct. So I spent a lot of my energy on that in the high school level. So soldiers, either already soldiers or soon-to-be soldiers, and I have a very good working relationship with the recruiting and retention battalion here of the state, will come to me either prior to going to basic training, or they're already at University of South Carolina Upstate particularly, and I'll get into that a little further in a minute. And they want to look into becoming an officer usually when they're talking to me. But I also try to do my best. If they don't want to become an officer, that's fine. I just want to make sure that they are making the best use of all their benefits that they've earned by being a soldier. And let me get back to USC Upstate for a minute and tell you why that's important. Okay, so everybody knows that college is expensive. All colleges are expensive. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But your public institutions are supported by the taxpayers, so the cost is reduced, whereas your private institutions are not. They are supported by tuition and fees primarily, their endowments based on alumni giving and that sort of thing, and then sometimes they have endowed scholarships. They still get federal money like the Pell Grant and subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans, those types of things. But when you stack up all those benefits or stack up all those costs associated, the National Guard benefits don't always make it to even 50% at some of them. So even if you used every single dollar available to you as a MOS qualified soldier, there's still going to be a huge gap at some of your higher cost institutions. Whereas at University of South Carolina Upstate, the tuition and fees, and I'm rounding it off here, and it changes just a little bit every year, is about $11,500 now. So when we enumerate all the benefits that, and I'm going to keep saying this, MOS qualified soldiers are eligible for, you can pay for USC Upstate and live. You're not going to have steak and lobster every night.
All right. Yeah. No.
But you can definitely live on the benefits as long as you're frugal and using your budget properly that you're afforded as an MOSQ soldier. So without further ado, let me try to introduce you to those benefits.
Okay.
So MOSQ is important, and because only one of the benefits I'm going to mention are available prior to that point. So I am kind of against the split op program in this specific situation. Now, if you're a high school junior and you're going to go to basic training between your junior and senior year and AIT between senior year and starting college, split op is perfect. No problem.
Works out great.
I'll help you pack.
All right.
Okay. Where it doesn't work as well is if you're already a freshman or a sophomore in college and they want you to do basic after freshman year and AIT after your sophomore year, you're only going to get 2 years of the full benefit. So that's the so what. And I spent a lot of my time with students and their parents talking about that. So once you're MOSQ, any public or the South Carolina school system has said they will give you a tuition discount for being a service member, active duty, which includes, and it's by law, it's in South Carolina law, which includes traditional guardsmen and reservists that are serving in South Carolina. They get about a $2,500 discount per semester. So that's almost $5,000. It might be closer to $4,500. Okay, but it's a significant chunk right there. What they have to do to get that is fill out a form. It's called a military service verification form. Send it to the good old folks at the Education Service Office right in the same parking lot as us. They usually turn it around in 24 hours. Get that to the financial aid office, and they will apply that to your bill. That part is no longer a problem. You've got that tuition discount. Huge, huge, huge benefit.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, the Reserve GI Bill. Now, that is Chapter 1606. I think the payment rates are something around $380 a month right now. I'm going to talk about another federal benefit in just a second. You cannot stack federal benefits. So I try to clear that up with students from the get-go. But Reserve GI Bill, Chapter 1606, is $380 a month, give or take. If you score above 50 on the ASVAB, and it is in your contract, got to be both of those things. Can't have one or not the other. Got to have both.
Can I both?
You can get up to $500 with what's called a GI Bill kicker. That's just an additional benefit for those soldiers. It can be up to $500. More recently, I've seen the contracts written $350 a month. So that's about $800, give or take, a month while you're in school. Next, you have federal tuition assistance. Federal tuition assistance is $4,000 a year. You apply for it through goarmyed.com. Got to have an account, and all of this, there's an application process. There's follow-up that's required. So it's not just, I showed up at college, where's all my money?
Right, yeah, no. You got to start this ahead of time.
You gotta start ahead of time. You've got to get some paperwork, like the GI Bill requires a notice of basic eligibility, which has to be filed at the school with the Veterans Affairs Coordinator at the school. And you can find that person on their website as well. Or you can call me and I'll tell you who it is in my schools. And so federal tuition assistance has that $4,000 a year. It's 250 credit hours for up to 16 hours, or you can do the math better than I can, but
Yeah.
that's what it will cover.
Okay.
And then a state benefit that the National Guard Association of South Carolina lobbied for us, you and I, to get is called the College Assistance Program. It's $4,500 a year. So if you have a state benefit, you can stack it with a federal benefit. Okay, that is a limited pool of money, so they don't have as much as we want.
Right.
And there's a specific deadline. I want to say it's in the summertime, and I want to say something like August 1st. You have to have that application in and filed. I have not heard of a student that got their application in on time being turned down, but that's available to all South Carolina National Guardsmen, including the Air Guardsmen, if they listen to stuff like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're fully joined on this show. We bring everybody to the party. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. There you go.
So that's $4,500 a year. So when we start stacking all that up, let's say you used the college assistance program and your discount the first semester. Tuition's gone. You took care of it already.
Yeah.
And let's say you saved some of your GI Bill money, put it in the bank, and now we've got a tuition discount, and we've got the federal tuition assistance second semester, because we can't use GI Bill and FTA at the same time.
Right.
You still got school covered that second semester. Okay. With that $800 a month, you can rent your apartment. You can put a little gas in the car. Might even be able to have something besides peanut butter sandwiches and ramen during the week.
Yeah. Nothing's wrong with that.
No, not a thing.
Yeah.
Not a thing. Broke college students are supposed to eat.
Yeah, that's
plenty
right.
of that.
That helps grow you.
Absolutely. Okay. What I've not mentioned yet, is drill pay. I haven't mentioned part-time work if you do that. I've not mentioned federal money. You could get the Pell Grant. You could get a need-based grant from the school. You could get academic money from the school. I want to say probably 30% of guardsmen are eligible for the Life Scholarship lottery money.
Mm-hmm.
None of that is tied to any of this. So you have need-based and merit-based aid that you can get at any college. Merit-based meaning if you meet certain criteria, a 3.5 GPA and a 1200 SAT. I want to say that's something like the Chancellor's Scholarship at USC Upstate. The life money is tied to a 3.0 GPA, a 1,000 on the SAT, and top 25% of your class. And where students kind of get in trouble with in the life scholarship is doing the high school part is easy. In order to keep that the second year, you have to get 30 credit hours, which is a normal load, have a 3.0 GPA, which the transition from high school to college is different. I mean, you're not a spoon-fed and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we work with students, to make sure they understand that. Gen Ed advising is not perfect. So, in fact, I'll use myself as a perfect example. I did 12 credit hours my first semester. That meant I had to take 18 credit hours almost every single for the rest of my college career to graduate on time and to make sure that I kept my benefits up. I was able to do that, but I said some words my mom would not be proud of about that first semester.
It could have been set up a completely different way than what it was.
It was. It could have been. So that's mostly what I want to get across is all those benefits. Now, those are not transferable. You can't send your kid to college on FTA if they're not serving,
right?
For example. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is the Simultaneous membership program, which is additional on top of all those things. Let me take a break, and I meant to tell you a little bit more about where I'm coming from at the beginning, but now is just as good a time to do that.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Western North Carolina. I went to Appalachian State. I very, very wisely joined the North Carolina National Guard and funded not just 100% of my school, but I think I tallied up about $39,000 worth of benefits that I got in those 4 years. So if you want to average that out, $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Tuition and fees were cheaper 20 years ago.
Just a shade.
Just a little bit. So my tuition and fees for 4 years were $8,000. So I got $31,000 to me more than college cost. That's not bad.
That's not too bad.
So I was also a simultaneous membership program cadet. A lot of soldiers know about this, but some don't. So I'll share that. So the simultaneous membership program is when you are a joint member of the National Guard or Army Reserve and ROTC at the same time. So you have to meet the eligibility, which is most soldiers that have been through MEPS and are not flagged, those types of things. As long as you're meeting your soldier qualifications, you will make the ROTC qualifications as well. So you're a soldier in the National Guard. You got decent grades. You can meet all the qualifications: medical, physical, being PT test, height, weight, all those different things. You can join an ROTC program once you have 30 credit hours behind you. So if you're, for example, a National Guardsman, you keep every single one of those benefits. And we add an ROTC stipend to that, which is $420 a month. We promote you to E5. So instead of, if you're making 190 or 210 as a PFC or a specialist, it goes up to about 250 as an E5. And you no longer are performing your MOS when you go to drill. You'll be a cadet. So we try to assign you to a unit that's got platoon leaders, so you can shadow a platoon leader. If that platoon leader is writing an operations order, you're going to help him do it. If she's the motor officer, you're going to be in the motor pool. If they're doing a movement plan, you're going to help them do that. So the idea is you're getting on-the-job training as a future officer while you're at drill. And then during the week, you're a regular college student. You're going through ROTC classes with us. ROTC is about 8 hours a week generally. We spend up to 3 hours in the classroom, usually about 3 hours at lab, and usually about 3 hours at physical training. So it's a regular college course, if you will, but 3 hours of that is doing physical training instead of in the library.
Yeah.
Okay. So we build you up through that program. Now, like I said, I was an SMP at Appalachian State. And then right before I went to ROTC's advanced camp, which is required between the junior and senior year, we didn't have a lieutenant in my platoon. So I was the platoon leader of a mechanized infantry company during an annual training at Fort Stewart, Georgia, prior to going to advanced camp. And I was, the TC of a Bradley, trying to fight the enemy.
Yeah. There you go.
And then I got to advanced camp, and I'm like, "Where's my vehicles?" They're like, "You don't have any vehicles." All right, "Where's my radios?" "You don't have any radios." Okay, this is gonna be doable.
Yeah.
So I finished my S&P time. I commissioned on to active duty. 9/11 was my senior year of college, so the world changed obviously very, very abruptly then. I commissioned. After commissioning, I was selected for immediate active duty. I went to Fort Leonard Wood to the Engineer Officer Basic Course, which is now called BOLIC Part B, Basic Officer Leadership Course Part B. Got to my first duty station in December. Went to the National Training Center in January. Was in Kuwait in May and Baghdad, or Kuwait in March, Baghdad in May. Almost exactly a year after I commissioned. Did the first tour, which was about a year. Came home for about a year, including another NTC rotation. Went back. So 2 out of the 4 years I was on active duty, I was in Iraq. Left active duty in 2006. Came to the upstate area of South Carolina, joined the 178th Engineer Battalion. Was immediately placed in company command. Didn't know that was coming.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And I took command of Alpha Company 178, which we transformed while I was in command to the 174th MAC in Welford. Very soon thereafter, I joined the ROTC program at Wofford, and I've been there ever since. So I've been doing this for about 13 years. I've also continued to be a guardsman, obviously. Did company command, a little bit of staff time. Took a second command. I was honored to take a second command of one of the explosive hazard teams, the 716th. And we deployed to Iraq in 2011 and shut that theater down, actually. It was pretty interesting time to leave a theater. And one of my fellow officers said, we haven't left a theater like this since World War II. It's been a long time. So trying to figure out which Humvees were salvageable enough to ship home, or was it worth spending $10,000 to ship a truck that's only worth $4?
Yeah, right.
And those types of decisions.
Yeah.
Many were made way above my pay grade. Learned a lot. I was on the United States Forces Iraq staff, working with a lot of general officers and just a bunch of professionals actually from the 18th Airborne Corps and the 82nd Airborne Division.
Well, you've been pretty busy.
A little bit.
Yeah, you've been kind of steady. You've been kind of at it, so that's good.
And then done more staff. I was at the 251st Rear Operations Cell, then one of the environmental officers at the CFMO office in the TAG building, and then one of the range operations OICs at McCready, and now with the RTI. So I have been busy.
Yeah, you have been busy. But that's good that you have that kind of background, especially when you're talking about advising, students and young soldiers. It's nice to have somebody that's kind of been through a little bit of stuff and here and there, because you have at least, how much of a grasp we have on anything is relevant. But, I mean, you at least have enough experience behind you to say, hey, I've kind of been there. I've done that. I can guide you and tell you where to kind of be on your path to improve your career or just your life in general.
Absolutely. And I didn't mention this, I got my master's degree. While doing half of that, I started in 2010, and that was soon thereafter we started the pre-mob for 2011. So I did one semester of my master's degree overseas with Clemson. So I was using these benefits that I'm talking about. I was actually eligible for Chapter 30 GI Bill, which is the active duty version that the post 9/11 replaced, which the post 9/11 GI Bill for these guys that have deployed, particularly I think a year gets you 60%, and then 2 years gets you 80. I don't know, but it is a very, very valuable benefit for all these guys that have deployed. And that's the type of question that you can ask somebody like me. It doesn't have to be me, but somebody like me, any of my counterparts would be able to tell you, hey, this is the level. This is what you need to apply for. This is when you need to apply for it, because nothing in the Veterans Administration is fast.
Yeah. No.
And then some of the landmines, if you will. You know, if it's hard to get the Veterans Affairs Coordinator on your campus, if it's hard to get them to move your packet through, I'll tell you, you know, it will be.
Right.
Because I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And usually that's not the case. That's just an example. But and then, you know, the deadline for caps. I told you I think it's about August 1st, but if we were sitting at my computer, I would look it up.
Tell you exactly what it is.
Tell you exactly what it is. Printing your military service verification form off. If I have time, I will send it for you right there. So those, my point being, there are people out there that will always help you find and use those benefits because you've earned them. You've earned them. You've done the work. We're part of the 1% of this country that are serving this country. And I hate the word entitlement, because people think, you know, just because I'm right-handed, I'm entitled to things. No, that's not the case. But merit-based means you've done something
to earn it.
You've earned it.
Yeah, you've earned it.
So earn-titled, if you will.
Now, I actually have a question as we sit here and talk about this. It kind of popped in my head. Since this is obviously a military-based benefit that you're getting here, is there any restrictions on as far as like degrees and things like that? Is the students, do they say, hey, you know, we don't need basket weaving, so, you know, we're not really going to approve you for the money to get basket weaving?
What's wrong with my kickball major?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, is there any restrictions or?
Very, very good question. So as long as it is an accredited degree, I want to say for a 4-year institution, they are pretty much going to be accredited. Where there are some institutions that have come under fire, if you will, most of those are for-profit institutions, and I would just tell soldiers to be skeptical.
Do your research on it, basically.
To be skeptical. So if they tell me that you can get your PhD in 18 months and everybody else has to spend 9 years, call somebody.
Yeah.
Check that out. So the answer is, if it's accredited by an institution and recognized in the Go Army Ed portal is where you can definitely find that, then the Army will pay these benefits. If it's Uncle Steve's bait shop, pharmaceutical supply, and community college, maybe not.
Maybe not. Unless they did a lot of work to get accredited.
Absolutely.
But you can find that stuff out, like you said.
Absolutely.
You can track down the accreditation.
And the other thing is, I deal primarily in the 4-year realm. 2-year associate's degrees obviously count, and you can get a lot of these benefits, not tuition assistance specifically, but the VA has certification payment programs. So if you want to become an HVAC tech, if you want to become a plumber, if you want to become an electrician, there are funds for that. And a lot of people say, you know, that's not a 4-year degree, that's not as cool. When I call a plumber, they charge $50 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some students tell me that, you know, I just cannot stand the idea of studying English literature from the 1600s, and you know that doesn't appeal to some people. No problem. Go get that certification.
Right. Yeah, and use the benefit that's already there for it.
Absolutely.
Especially if you know, obviously being an MOSQ'd soldier and stuff like that, no reason to miss out on it.
Nope.
Now, as I guess as they move through this process, I mean, you get them in, you help them get set up, but I imagine you're still there for options or answers throughout their whole college career.
So I still talk to people that commissioned in 2007.
Okay, so you keep in touch.
Absolutely. A lot of times recent graduates will ask me for another letter of recommendation so they can get into their MBA program. And in fact, last week I wrote one for a student that's already finished 1 year of law school here in Columbia at USC. Asked me to write that. So, you know, and I tell them, you know, I'm not charging you right now, okay?
But
because I'm going to have free legal
advice,
free lawyer for the rest of my life, free medical care when you go to medical school.
There you go.
So no, absolutely, I help teach, coach, and mentor any soldier, whether they're a cadet or not. Obviously, I have a lot more contact with the cadets, but I would never turn anybody down that said, "Sir, I'm stuck. I tried to get this benefit, couldn't get the guy to answer the phone. Fill out this application, it's sat on somebody's desk. Need my commander to sign my notice of basic eligibility, and just can't get them for whatever reason."
Yeah.
I've got a pretty great network within the Guard from being around long enough
Yeah.
to ask those questions and help soldiers get those problems. And usually it's a lost email or something like that. There's nobody in this organization that doesn't take great care of soldiers. It's just sometimes people get overwhelmed.
Yeah. And that's always good, because a lot of times when you're dealing with programs, there's the explanation of how to get into it is usually relatively easy to find. It's once you're in it where things, you don't always have somebody. So knowing that they have you and others like you around the state to be able to reach back to and have that contact makes it a lot easier and a lot better.
I've been doing it for almost a decade and a half, so to me it's simple. But because it's simple doesn't make it easy.
Right.
So I'm telling you, these 4 programs that can fund your entire education, yes, that's great. Now what? Well, yeah, you have to keep up with it. For that tuition discount, they are greedy about it, so they want to make sure you're still a soldier next year.
Yeah, they want confirmation.
Absolutely. So you have to do that once a year. Now, you would think that people would remember, hey, I did this last year, shouldn't be so hard. In fact, on scguard.com, the education office is listed under resources. That's a great thing. That was not always there. So you can find out the POCs that you need to send that stuff to. So yeah, I'm there, and like I said, my counterparts are there throughout their college career and even after when they take the next step. One thing that a lot of SMP cadets or prospective SMP cadets don't know is if they want to, they can compete for active duty. So you can be a Guard soldier while you're in college, and then if you are competitive enough, you can compete for active duty. That's exactly what I did. I did 4 years of North Carolina Guard, did 4 years of active duty, and now I've been back in the Guard since 2006. So combined 22 years as of this December of Guard and active service.
That's impressive. And like I said before, that's excellent that you have that background, because especially, like I said, in a career field like this where you are in a mentorship position, it's good for the younger soldiers and students and stuff to be able to have that knowledge base available to them. It's like you're a walking Google for this situation, so that's outstanding. Now, if you want to, by all means, if you want to put out some contact information and stuff where people can get in touch with you.
Sure.
If they have questions in the future.
You can Google Wofford ROTC, and I'm probably the first picture you'll see. My office line is area code 864-597-4338. That's the best way to make initial contact with me. Usually I'll set up an office appointment so we can come sit down. A lot of soldiers bring their parents, and I like that. And it's not that I'm treating them like they're children or anything like that. It's that parents ask different questions. So when I, for example, talk about Tri-Care Reserve Select as a huge benefit, a perfectly healthy 19-year-old that just got back from basic training in the best condition of their life doesn't think about that. But mom and dad here, what is it now, $48 a month?
Yeah.
That is the best thing ever.
Right. Don't give him any money. Just give him the health benefits.
Just give him the health insurance. And a lot of people don't know about the VA loan. How do Guard soldiers qualify for that? Well, you got to be a 6-year drilling member or on active duty for a certain period of time. That's another huge benefit. So, like I said, I don't mind whatsoever if they bring their parents or their significant other. They're already married, because she's joining too, whether she knows it or not,
right.
or he is joining too. So, you can absolutely give me a call. I'll help answer your questions. If you want to set up an office appointment to talk about ROTC or not, if you just get hung up, you can call that number.
Okay. Well, that is outstanding. I hope, maybe in the future we can have you come back and maybe do a refresher on this,
Anytime.
As it moves down. I find with things like this, people need the information kind of put back out to them. every now and then, especially when semester times start rolling around and they
Absolutely.
start going through the checklist. Like, what do I actually need to do?
Yeah, I didn't think about that. We can do it in the summer.
Yeah, yeah. Hit another one in the summer right before the semester starts, just to let everybody know, hey, all this is still out here. But I appreciate you taking time out of your day and stopping by.
Thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you.
Yes, sir.
So it was really awesome that Lieutenant Colonel Strickland came in, and he actually got to talk to you since you had to do a solo
Yeah.
gig for today.
Yeah, did a solo gig. Meetings and stuff bounce around, just the way it works sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super awesome talking with him. I think anybody who is in the situation where they are in college or looking to go to college or in the Guard, whatever, you know, he kind of went over all the options for it, but really is a good program to get involved in if you have the chance or in a position to do so. It's nice to be able to go to school and make a little money on the side.
Yeah, because it's hard for some students that are involved in a lot to not be able to have like a part-time job.
And then of course, you know, like I said, you know, doing that program with the Guard and the ROTC, those years count as years of service, which is a huge deal. You need four years in college. Of course, you can't start right as you're a freshman. I think I don't believe, but I mean, 3 or 4 or 5 years worth of service before you actually really get into the force. I mean, that's. Yeah.
And then it doesn't feel like it's time wasted in a sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got something for it. I mean, if you're going to do ROTC, it's at least something to consider. I mean, if you already know you're going to do ROTC, why not? You know, take a look at it and see what it has to offer, and maybe it does work out to be a very excellent opportunity for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I was expecting her to end it after that one, but I guess not.
Well,
I guess you want some more information from me. Okay, all right, let me try. I mean, what do we gotta go to Bob and Weave?
I mean, I thought normally we don't go that short, so I was like,
I mean, I stopped. I gave you the look. I felt like I gave you the look.
okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know we had a look.
I thought we had a look.
What's the look?
Obviously, I was confused about the look, but anyway. No, like I was saying, check it out, and always, we're still looking for that 500 subscriber mark.
We're getting closer.
We're getting closer to 358ish, 360 or something like that. Last time I checked. One thing I do go through the analytics on stuff on YouTube, and it looks like y'all are actually taking time to watch more of the podcast and stuff like that. So thank you for that. But as always, make sure you're like, subscribe, hit the notification button on YouTube if you want to catch our content as it comes out.
Make sure you're leaving comments too. So.
Make sure you're leaving comments so we know, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we maybe should keep doing, and maybe we should do more of, whatever. We're fine with that, and then of course if you're listening to us on iTunes, make sure you're subscribing, so that you get our most up to date.
Yeah,
podcast.
hopefully here soon we'll be on other platforms as well.
Yeah,
Still working that piece.
we're close. We're close.
Close.
We've got a couple things. I'm waiting for some emails to come back and whatever else, and then once we get that figured out, we should be good. We should be able to find us on Google Podcast and Spotify and a couple other ones. So make sure you're sharing this with your friends, your family, whatever else. There's good information here, and so it's worth taking the time to listen in, because you never know what you're going to learn.
You never know what's going to come out of Erskine's mouth.
Yeah, go ahead and say it. Go ahead and throw it out there. That's all right.
I'm just saying, you're funny, so I mean, people like to
I'm
laugh.
funny? Am I a clown to you?
I didn't say you're a clown.
You're
a comedian.
I'm here to make you laugh. Am I funny? Like, ha-ha, funny what? Right. So, yeah, I think we can shut it down on that next.
Okay.
So, here's the look.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm Sergeant Chelsea Baker.
And I'm Specialist David Erskine. And we'll catch you in the next episode.